All right, all right, all right. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, let me adjust. Oh, that kind of looks real off. What's going on, y'all? What is going on? Hat. What you got going on today? Just looks so off. Oh, what is happening? No, that didn't make it better. What? Dear God. Like, why is this one side? Y'all, this is gonna bother my spirit. I'm not. No, that's worse. Is that better? Hold on. I'm just gonna put it to the side. But then that hurts my head. But I'm gonna just do it like that because what I'm not gonna do is go through this with my hat today. I don't know what's going on with my hat today. Anyway, hey y'all. Hey, 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 hey. We are here. It is another edition of the politics of it all. And yeah. So y'all, I'm really shameless plug. Hey everybody, let me greet y'all correctly. Hey lovely 31 Blueprint. Hey Quintessential My Love. Hey Tanya Boo, Raphael, So Jeff, Xavier. Listen, y'all, tomorrow night. Notification should already be out. I put it out yesterday, but we're having in lieu of my Pride Month video because I just could not corner off 10 to 12 hours and do my Pride Month video. I'm doing a Pride Month town hall, and I've invited some really great guys, guys who you don't normally see here on my channel. They're gonna come out. They're gonna sit down, and we're gonna have a talk. Some of them you have seen here. We're gonna sit down, talk, have an open discussion and conversation about all things Pride Month. A lot of things specific, of course, to Black Gay. But it's going to be a great discussion. Come with your questions. Come with your concerns, comments, and so forth. Make sure you share it out. If Ahmad is in the chat and can go pull the link to that video so that they can so if people want to, they can use that link and share it out or whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of excited, really excited about it. And that's gonna be tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Y'all be here, be vocal, present, and active like you always are. And we gonna have a good time. Listen, y'all, we gotta talk about, and I'm gonna save this for last, but we gotta talk about yesterday's January 6th hearing. Listen, I was riveted. I was riveted. I was sitting at my watching the TV screen like, ooh, oh girl, no, girl. I was. It was some riveting testimony yesterday. So we'll get there. Listen, y'all, it was a lot going on yesterday, and we're gonna dissect that stuff. Child Xavier, it was real good yesterday, honey. Real good. Um, but we'll get there. We'll get there. hmm I got some other stories. Make sure your sugar levels are quintessential. Let me apologize to you. So last night, me and my friends, we ate through. It wasn't me. I had like two cookies, and I told them don't eat all my red velvet cookies because I got to bring them on. Because I knew I was going to do a live today. I said I got to go live tomorrow, and I got to show my red velvet cookies to my quintessential. Baby, I looked at the end of the night, baby, it was nothing but crumbs in there. I said, you know, we're old rat bastards. So this is what I'm eating today. Jolly Rancher Bites. They're okay. They ain't all that. They just okay. Clearly they weren't as good as the goddamn Red velvet cookies that my greedy ass friends say. Hey, Patty Duke, my love. Child, child. It was a lot. Anyway, mm, so let me. Hey, Tabitha. I always come on when you get ready to get in the car. Child, I have to risk my life if I want to participate. Believe it or not, Tabitha, when I was in your live the other day when you were talking about the chat what was that Sunday? Yeah, Sunday when you had that chat, child, I was on the road coming home, so I was risking my life. You were talking about Roe v. Wade and stuff like that and stuff like that. When are you leaving, Tabitha? I don't know if you've left yet. I know you were traveling back home for personal issues and things like that. So be safe whenever you do travel and get on that road or whatnot. Hey Tracy, my love. So y'all listen. Let me go ahead. Y'all know we're gonna have a spiky moment. So let's go ahead, get this out of the way now. Let me go ahead and have me a piece of candy now. Go ahead and get this together now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot. So I have no every story I have, like, well, even the January 6th story is kind of spiky, but all my stories are sugar spiky. So we're gonna dive right in the deep end. Damn it, ain't not even no use to even try and sugarcoat it, make it sound good. Mm-mm. Everything is a sugar spike today. Everything today is spiky. So are you leaving next week Wednesday? Okay, okay. I'll be coming back in town next week Wednesday. I'm leaving Friday. I don't know if I'll be able to have a silly Saturday, y'all. I'm gonna do the best I can, but I'm back on the road again. I'll be in New York. I'll be in Syracuse. Tracy, I will be in Syracuse from Friday until Wednesday. So I know you told me to hit you up. I will, or you can hit me up. We'll figure that out. But I'll be in Syracuse. All right. So where do I go first? Okay, let's go to this story first. So I'm not gonna even read. I'm not gonna even read the title. I'm gonna just read the article, and y'all, we can go from there. You may have already come across this story, but I felt when came across my desk, I believe it was yesterday. It was either yesterday or early today. It came across my desk after the whole because yesterday had a slew of uh primaries and voting in several states. So I think it was this morning this came across my desk. So here we go. Tina Peters. hmm Tina Peters, the Colorado County Clerk, who flogged election conspiracy theories and was indicted for allegedly breaching her own voting machines, lost her primary bid to become the Secretary of State. Let me read that first sentence again so y'all can wrap your brains around the totality of this situation, okay? Please let me do that for you. Tina Peters, the Colorado County Clerk, who flogged election conspiracy theories and was then indicted for allegedly breaching her own voting machines. Indicted for allegedly breaching her own voting machines, lost her primary bid to become the Secretary of State. But that's not the whole story. You would think it would be enough that a county clerk whose job it is in the great state of Colorado to, uh, run elections, do all of the operations and stuff for the elections process, who breached voting machines and was indicted for this. The sheer fact that she was even eligible to run is beyond control. But let's continue. Let's continue. I told y'all we was gonna start right in the deep end. I don't know where else y'all want me to, what else y'all want me to do. But let's continue on. That's the first sentence. Listen, we had a hard stop at the first sentence of this article. I'm one sentence in, and we're already at a hard stop. Let's wrap our hands around this. This whore breached her own voting machine and has been indicted on it, meaning they had evidence. Continuing on, and then this article is great. Somebody take care of the can somebody take care of the we got a troll looks like. Anyway, and then she did exactly what you would expect. She denied she lost, cried fraud, and vowed to keep fighting. So after she lost, okay, after she lost the primary yesterday, I'll get to the numbers she lost by. But after she lost her primary, she went on. This is so hilarious. She went on and said she denied she lost, cried that there was fraud, and vowed to keep fighting. Quote, it's not over, Peters reportedly told reporters at her watch party. While she was 15 percentage points behind the actual winner. Let me say that again. Did somebody take care of let me make sure somebody took care of that troll. We had a troll. And make sure. Yeah, they got him. Okay, thank y'all for taking care of them. That's Jason swooping in from the bushes. Jason over there with the sniper rifles in the bushes. Anyway, so let me keep reading. So, let me read that again. Quote, it's not over, Peters reportedly told supporters at her watch party while she was 15 percentage points behind the actual winner, Pam Anderson, a former Jefferson County clerk. Quote, I'm sorry, we had faith in this. I'm sorry, we had faith in this system once again. Hey, Diamond Pearl Jim. Yeah, that's what she said. She said, I'm sorry, we had faith in the system once again. Peters' loss will be a blow to a cast of her fellow election deniers, including prominent backer Mike Lindell, who is clinging to the baseless notion that the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump. Now they have a new cause. Quote, big fraud, we caught them. Lindell, the My Pillow mogul, frantically texted the Daily Beast late on Tuesday night, referring to the Peters race. Quote, we caught them in their fraud. Prison for Dominion. End quote. He went on to say, quote, how the votes came in real time. This is impossible, with 5 exclamation points. The trouncing came 3 months after Peters was indicted by a grand jury on 10 misdemeanor and felony charges stemming from her role in the breaching of election machines in Mesa following the 2020 election. She and the deputy are accused of plotting to turn off security cameras and letting an unauthorized person answer those I'm sorry, access those machines. Information from which she was published by conspiracy theorist Ron Watkins. The indictment capped a turbulent 10-month stretch that saw Peters get arrested for obstructing police officers who were serving a search warrant for her iPad, make an appearance making an appearance at a far-right event where a speaker advocated, quote, hangings for those who commit election fraud, and frequently joining Mike Lindell's um, just a mess. And frequently joining Mike Lindell's live streaming website, Frank's Speech. At one point, Peters went into hiding at a Mike Lindell, quote, safe house because people she thought were after her. So she went, Mike Lindell, if you follow him, has these safe houses. And she was hiding out in there. Controversy has swirled Mrs. Peters even before Trump's 2020 loss. In 2019, her office allegedly left 570 ballots uncounted, and let others escape from a ballot drop box. Patty Insco, a former Mesa County clerk employee, was enlisted to help Peters get organized, but Peters fired her within 2 months. A Peters staffer then sued Insco, alleging delinquency. Quote, Tina didn't want to fight facts. She wanted to damage people. She did and said a lot of things about me that are untrue. It hurt my reputation, and it's hard to fight back against that. And that's what Insco said. Pam Anderson, the primary winner, who will be the Republican on the ballot on election day, has publicly declared that there is no evidence of fraud in the 2020 presidential elections. In a statement after the victory, she said that if she is elected the state's top election officer, she, quote, will support local election officials through reliance on evidence-based elections, adherence to the law, training, and funding resources. I will be the fair referee for Colorado to continue to improve both access for voters and securing and enhancing our elections. These efforts won't be driven by partisan politics or campaign talking points, but focused on policy and rebuilding confidence in our elections by removing the rhetoric and outright lies that are driving debates in echo chambers. So y'all got the batshit crazy out here, y'all. Tina Peters falls in line with all of the buffoonery that is going on over there on the right. Listen, these people on the right, I keep telling y'all, are not wrapped tightly. They are really, listen, these people are the definition of mentally disturbed and deranged. The definition of mentally disturbed and deranged. This woman, the fact that she's been indicted on not just misdemeanors, but felonies involving the elections process and is still allowed to run for Secretary of State, who was the highest election official in that state, is baffling. 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 She had the opportunity to win that race and actually be in charge of elections for the entirety of that state. Mind you, her indictments, and this is just for the 2020 election, was for tampering with her own voting machines. In 2019, she was under investigation, as we read, for not reading all of the ballots, losing ballots, and all kinds of other foolishness. Exactly, Xavier. Not only is she not in jail, baby, she's trying to run for Secretary of State. But she's roaming free down to the state of Colorado, the great state of Colorado. saying that she ain't lose is fraud. Baby, you lost by 15 plus points. Where's the fraud? They don't want you, boo. They like, see, right wingers, because this is all Republican people voting. The right wing and and the Republicans like their crimes where they can hide it and they got people who they know can get away with it. I mean, technically, she can't get away with it, but they like people who are a little more covert and subversive with their crimes, with their high crimes. Just a mess. This is what y'all got going on in the great state of Colorado. Like, this is real. This is really happening, people. This is why I keep telling y'all. We are living in Fahrenheit 451. Like, we are living in a real dystopian society right now. You say it's very ghetto. If you do say you're so yourself, Xavier, are you our resident aficionado or all things ghetto? I just need to know, Xavier, so that when we have all things pertaining to whether or not something is ghetto, we know who to ask. Are you our resident aficionado of all things ghetto? I just want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. That's our first story, y'all. Listen, if that's the first story, y'all know it's all downhill from there, from here. The Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen, has been very busy pushing out their adjudications and their decisions on certain cases. And so Justice Stephen Breyer announced that they're going to have all of their decisions on cases out by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Baby, I'm getting out of Dodge. I'm getting out of this dumpster fire at 12. Baby, I'm going to use them last 2 hours to say goodbye to my staffers, pick up the last of my boxes of things in this good office, and get the hell out of Dodge. Ketanji Brown Jackson, baby, you got it. You got it. Get it how you live. Baby, I want no more parts of these people. I can't. I don't have. I have only a few more years left on this good earth, and I'm not going to spend those few years um with this fuck shit. Speaking of which, is Sandra? I need to look that up. Isn't Sandra Day O'Connor dead, or is she still alive? I think she's still alive because I remember when she retired. And basically, if you look at her speech, she she was like, "Listen, I need to get out before it's too late." Oh, she's still alive. She's 92 years old. Yeah, baby, that woman said, "Listen, I don't have this type of time." Mm-mm. Mama said, "Let me get out while they're getting this good. I did my time. I served. I don't have that kind of energy. Baby, I'm getting out while they're getting this good, and I need to enjoy it." No, she ain't dead. She's alive. According to the Googles, she's still alive. Jason, bro, I thought she was dead too. She's 92, born March 26th, 1930. She's still alive, but I remember when she retired. Listen, the sad part is when I typed in her name on the Googles, the first thing that came up is Sandra Day O'Connor still alive? A mess, a mess, a mess. She retired in 2020. In 2020, that was 22 years ago. That was 22 years ago. And wait, it wasn't 2020. It was 2006. 2006, 16 years ago. So that would have made her, what, 76 at the time? Baby mama said, I'm getting out while the getting is good. I ain't gonna sit up here and fuck off with you all. Mm-mm. We ain't doing it. I'm mad at it. Not people who saw Jesus crucified. I'm not doing this with y'all. Sandy at the beach. I'm not doing that with you either, Diamond Pearl Jim. Y'all are silly. I keep telling y'all, the real show is over here. The chat is the real show. I'm just a sideshow. Just a just a little guy ranting and raving over here. The real show is over here in the comments. If you ain't like, if you catch the replay play and you never catch the live, you're missing out on the real show over here in the comment section. I mean, in the live chat, because the live chat is where it's at. Just a mess. So anyway, the Supreme Court has been busy, been real busy. We see they had that case. Is that on my agenda today? Yeah, we'll talk about that case. So I'll get there next. Excuse me. Um, but they've been very busy. Not just Roe v. Wade. If you look at all of the decisions that has been pouring out of that Supreme Court, they are on a mission to help you people understand that they are serious about conservatism. They are serious about taking this country back to a time where many people, even myself, and even some people much older than me, were not alive to remember. They're trying to take us back to 1776 just with 21st century technology. I've said that on many occasions. Y'all think I'm they the look at the decisions that have come down from the Supreme Court. Look at the cases that they have decided to take up and entertain. Hey, Yana. So yeah. So the Supreme Court, in another ruling that came out, said that states can be sued for discriminating against veterans. Let me read this. The United States Supreme Court said in a 5-4 ruling Wednesday that state agencies are not immune from private lawsuits under a federal law meant to protect employment of rights of returning veterans. The ruling will strengthen work protections for thousands of state employed veterans returning to work after service in the reserves or National Guard. The outcome is a victory for Leroy Torres, a veteran and former employee of the Texas Department of Public Safety. He told the agency that he could no longer serve as a state trooper and sought a comparable job to accommodate his service related disability. When he was denied the job, he filed suit under federal law but lost in state courts. He appealed the decision to the United States Supreme Court. Justice Stephen Breyer wrote the majority opinion, joined by the other liberals as well as Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Texas had argued that states are immune from such lawsuits brought under the Federal Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act passed under Congress. Uh, oof. Um, Passed under Congress's War Powers Authority. The law was used to ensure that those who served aren't disadvantaged when they return to the workforce with a service-related disability. Breyer said that, quote, upon entering the Union, end quote, the states implicitly agreed their sovereignty would yield to federal policy to build and keep a national military. And emphasizing Congress's war powers authority, he noted that Congress has broad and sweeping power to raise and support armies. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote a dissent joined by Justices Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. Thomas said that, quote, history and precedent showed that, because you're the one to talk about precedent, Clarence Thomas, showed that, quote, when the states ratified the Constitution, they did not implicitly consent to private damages actions filed in their own courts, whether authorized by Congress's war powers or any other Article 1 power. Put a bookmark in that. Let me read that again because that's very important. And if y'all notice, Justice, Associate Justice Clarence Thomas has been really instrumental in a lot of these decisions. As you can see, these conservative judges acquiesce to Clarence Thomas and his level brand of fuckery. Let me read that again. Thomas said that, quote, history and precedent showed that when states ratified the Constitution, they did not implicitly consent to private damages actions filed in their own courts, whether authorized by Congress's war powers or any other Article 1 power. End quote. Steve Vladeck, a Supreme Court analyst for CNN, and professor at the University of Texas School of Law, said that Wednesday's decision, quote, may come as a bit of a surprise to those familiar with the court's prior cases concerning state sovereign immunity. For 25 years, the justices have been very wary of Congress's power to authorize damages suits against non-consenting states pursuant to any of its Article 1 powers. In 2006, the court recognized a limited exception for bankruptcy law. Today, the court adds a second for the war powers. It's easy to understand why Congress's war powers might be unique in allowing the federal government to override the states, but each exception calls the underlying principle into further doubt. The case came down to a clash between Congress's authority to provide for national defense and the state's ability to decide when it gets sued. The ruling could affect thousands of active and reserve service members nationally who work for state agencies. Lower courts have split on the issue of whether Congress had the power to authorize such private lawsuits. The federal government argued that a ruling that gives immunity to states in this area could damage the federal government's ability to fill military ranks and defend the nation. Torres, and it goes on and on. Here's why this is important. What Thomas is saying is the fact that Thomas wants to give all of the powers to the states and allow states to say, whatever y'all want, states, is totally up to y'all. Thomas is on this whole thing to eliminate federal laws and mandates on anything, and rather you give all power, acquiesce, coalesce, and give all powers to state governments, which is dangerous. Now, here what we have here is a case of a guy who was in the National Guard and the Army Reserves. He became disabled and ended up not being able to be a Texas State Trooper, and ended up getting a job in the private sector. And they told him that he couldn't get that job, and he sued because he said, no, I'm a veteran and I have certain federal rights because I'm a veteran to have this job. And they said, well, fuck you. We're not a federal entity. We're not a state entity. We are a private business, and we don't have to do that. To which he said, nope, I'm going to sue y'all. He sued and went to the state courts. The state said, nope, y'all don't have a right. You don't have a right to claim that, veteran. We talk a good game about protecting you veterans, but we don't give a shit about you veterans. Fuck you, and fuck the state law, not state law, the federal law that says that we have to protect you. And he took it further. And that's how it got to the federal level. And so the Supreme Court did rule that no, you can't do that, state. And it's a good thing that they did that. But the point that I want to make is what Justice Thomas is saying in the dissent. They are on a mission to overturn scores of federal law and federal precedent that has sweeping ramifications on a national level. There are a lot of things that we have, laws that have been upheld and passed federally, and that have Supreme Court precedent because the Supreme Court said, yes, this can be federal law, and they have been upheld. And Justice Thomas and those conservative justices are saying, yeah, fuck that. We're not here for any of that. And the scary part about this is exactly what they said in that Roe v. Wade dissent is exactly what they're looking to do. If it's a federal law, they're apt to say, yeah, fuck the federal law. We'll leave it to the states, which is dangerous because as we can see, if left to themselves, there are states that will take us back to the days of slavery. And if you think I'm lying, look in the South. There are states that left to themselves would take us back to the days of slavery. And the fact that we have the majority of the Supreme Court that is willing to do away with all federal laws and allowances and put it back in the hands of the states is a scary thing. So when they said, yeah, we're getting rid of the federal law that protects gay marriage, they mean that. Yeah, we're going to get rid of the federal law that does away with the right to privacy in the bedroom and the right to actually be gay in this country. They mean that. When they say, when they talk about when John Cornyn can tweet out that he would love for them to do away with Brown versus Board of Education, he means that because he knows that he has cover within the Supreme Court. Listen, this stuff doesn't happen by happenstance. This stuff happens because they know they've been given the go ahead. They've been given the information from the Supreme Court to say, yeah, you good. Go ahead. Just know we got your back. We're going to protect you on this. You ain't got nothing to worry about. They know that. This is happening, people. That's the only reason that I brought that up. Because I wanted to highlight the fact that they are making a significant point to let you all know they're here to do away and obviate all federal laws. They are here to give everything back to the states. And that's scary. Speaking of Supreme Court, we know that I believe it was Monday, a ruling came down from this season of Supreme Court rulings where they told the state of Washington that they could not tell a football coach that he could not force his team to pray at the end of every game. And what that did was essentially question or put into question. Now, at the surface level, it looks like, yeah, that just means that he has the option to do that. But when you do more research on this case, students didn't have the option. Those kids that were on that football team did not have the option. They were forced to pray. And even if they were, let's say that student was of the Islamic faith, or they were Buddhist, or they were Confucius, or any other religion out there, it didn't matter. They were forced to pray and participate in this Christian religious practice at the end of every football game, whether or not they wanted to. And so now the Supreme Court is calling into question the separation of church and state. In that same vein, we got crazies and yahoos like Lauren Boebert, dear God, God bless America. Hey, Crispies. Um, yeah, we see where it's going, Patty Duke. Absolutely, we see where it's going. So Lauren Boebert, Oh dear God, bless her heart. Lauren Boebert, Republican Congresswoman from the great state of Colorado, that same great state of Colorado that we were talking about earlier, says she is, quote, tired, end quote, of the long-standing separation between church and state in the U.S., adding that she believes, quote, the church is supposed to direct the government, end quote. There's a video of this. I'm not going to play the video, but there is video of this. In a Sunday speech at the Cornerstone Christian Center in Basalt, Colorado, ahead of her primary election on Tuesday, Boebert argued that, quote, the government is not supposed to direct the church, saying that dividing religion from the system of government was not what the founding fathers intended. She went on to say, quote, I'm tired of this separation of church and state junk. That's not in the Constitution. It was in a stinking letter and it means nothing like, and it was in a stinking letter and it means nothing like they say it does, end quote. Boebert said, earning a round of applause from the audience. Boebert faces and we know she won her primary um, in Colorado's third district. And this is who y'all have going because I mean, I don't even know if they're running a Democratic candidate in that area, but she's slated to probably win that that seat. This is who is who you people. Hey, Derek, what's going on? This is who you people are electing to make laws and govern us in these yet to be United States of America. The Lauren Boeberts of the world. Patty Duke, we know that letter was drafted into the Constitution, but retarded as Lauren Boebert, and I know we're not supposed to use that word, but that is the best word to describe the fucktard and ass clown that is Lauren Boebert. The heifer is retarded. Now I can't use no better. There's no better word to describe her, and that's no disrespect to members of our community who may be mentally handicapped and or challenged or disabled. But Lauren Boebert personifies that term. Just like that term needs to be removed from public discourse, so should she. Why is she allowed a platform? Why? These are the ass clowns that we have that's going to the United States Congress. And we got the Dems asleep at the wheel. A mess. Yes, Xavier. Lauren Boebert gets the R word. I'm just saying. What else, how else do you want me to describe her? For my members of the Rainbow Coalition, why is really be live this time of the dear God? I don't know why she's live. I tried to go live this time of day, so I don't interfere with her live, but she's live anyway. Whatever. Y'all better not go over there and watch. No, I ain't gonna tell y'all that. I'm just joking. I don't do that. But so in good news, I'm mixing the good news with the bad. Okay, here's some good news. Representative Mondaire Jones aims to make LGBTQ history again with his reelection campaign. Nearly 2 years ago, U.S. Representative Mondaire Jones, a Democrat of the great state of New York, um, If you go over to tell her that I said, why the hell is she live when I'm live? Don't nobody care about no Robert. He was going to jail anyway. I'm not going to talk about Robert. Why are we alarmed? Why are we even concerned? Great. He's going to jail for 30 years. Good. He should have been in jail the last 30 years. Goodbye. That's all we need to hear. That's all. Why are we concerned? That's hey, great. In some cases, the criminal justice system works. That's all we need to talk about. You people giving this young man that amount of time, effort, and energy speaks to what the problem is, why it took so long for us to get to this point. He going to jail, great, rot. Moving on. Anyway, nearly 2 years ago, U.S. Representative Mondaire Jones did what he thought was impossible when he was elected as the first openly gay member of the United States Congress. That is why this should be important. He's the first openly gay black member. I shouldn't say first openly gay, first openly black gay member of Congress. He's the first one. Um, Quote, I never imagined someone like me could run for Congress, let alone get elected, Jones told the Griot during a recent interview. After the court ordered redrawing of the New York's congressional map, Jones, who currently represents New York's 17th district, congressional district, decided to seek re-election in a new district, New York's 10th congressional district, which is comprised of Lower Manhattan and parts of Brooklyn. The West Village neighborhood where the 1969 Stonewall riots took place, and they paved the way for the gay and queer liberation movement in the United States, is also in the 10th congressional district of New York. If re-elected to Congress to represent the 10th district, Mondaire Jones would make history yet again as the first openly gay member of the United States House to represent that said district, which is steeped in LGBTQ history and thought of by some as the bedrock of queer and trans equality. Jones told the Griot, this article is from the Griot, that having the opportunity to represent the 10th district will be a full circle moment. The 35-year-old lawmaker who lived most of his life as a closeted gay man spent his 20s in New York City neighborhoods like the West Village, where he developed the will to embrace his queer identity. Quote, the district has given so much to me. It is a district where I have not only worked, but a district that made me into the person I am today, end quote. And it goes on and on about how he was able to find out who he is, come to terms with himself, and come out of the closet and so forth. So, yes, he represented for the girls, for the girls, for the girls. Yes, and the culture. So that is our feel good story of the day, sandwiched in the middle of the fuckery. So, and he has been, if you go look at his voting record, he has absolutely championed the cause of LGBTQ plus rights. He has been on the forefront um, of these things, and we need him and more like him, as we know we're getting to very tumultuous times with regard to LGBTQ plus rights in these yet to be United States of America. Child, you better speak a word, Xavier. You better speak a word. But you know they don't do things like that. So we celebrate Mondaire Jones. Um, so we're rooting for him. We're rooting for him. Let's go ahead and if you're in the great state of New York, make sure you support that young man. Unfortunately, we have to get back to the fuckery and fucktitude that is these yet to be United States of America. If you have a piece of candy, go ahead and pull it out. Take you a piece of candy, and you're going to need it. This is a sugar spike moment. Hmm. Embrace yourself because we have a sugar spike moment. Hmm. 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 All right. Hopefully you have calibrated your sugar levels. All right. So a woman says an Arkansas church turned her away because she was black. A woman went to social media alleging a member of First Baptist Church of Forest City in Arkansas had turned her and her family away because they were black. According to the woman, a church member referred to her family as coloreds. If this is true, then there are more places in the country than we realize that are still stuck in the 1950s. This comes from the root. I also looked this up, and there are several outlets, including the local television stations, that are also reporting this as well. Donna Mack, and that Mack is MAC, went to Facebook to detail the alleged encounter. Per her account, one member stopped her and her family at the steps to ask, quote, well, what you want to come in for? End quote. Mac answered that she was there for church, and the member told her to come back when service starts at 11 a.m. Meanwhile, Max said there were people already allowed inside. Her post went on to say, quote, after speaking with the second member, an older white lady, I stated, is everyone not welcomed here? The To which the white lady stated, we've had coloreds here before. Donna then asked, what do you mean, coloreds? Do you mean black people? The woman's response was, no, coloreds. When I was growing up, we always called them coloreds. End quote. Donna then said we just looked at her and left. My feelings were so hurt. Now, if you need some context, Forest City was named after Nathan Bedford Forrest. Who is he, you ask? Great question. He is a Ku Klux Klan leader and Confederate general. What else do we expect from a city named after a Ku Klux Klan leader and Confederate general? In a television interview, the pastor of said church, Steve Walter, responded to the incident saying he believed it was all a miscommunication. He told an ABC affiliate the situation isn't a representation of who the church congregation is. He is quoted as in saying, quote, I was deeply grieved that we're perceived or that what that young woman experienced because that is what we sought to fight against, what she experienced. On the behalf of the church, she needs to experience a sense of sorrow on our part. She needs to be told how sorry we are collectively. Walter, Pastor Walter also acknowledged the racial divide in the community and says this was a teachable moment for his congregation. This is what y'all have going on in the great state of Arkansas. But people would try to lead us to believe that, oh, everything's fine in this country. We still got people saying, yeah, we're not here to allow you coloreds. We don't invite you coloreds into our congregation. Donna said, wait, you mean black people? No, bitch. I said coloreds. Because that's what y'all always been called. When I was little, we called you coloreds. And today, we still gonna call you coloreds. My mama called you coloreds. My daddy called you coloreds. And I'ma call you coloreds. You ain't invited in. What do y'all want from me? What am I supposed to do with that? What do y'all want me to do with that? What do y'all want me to do with that? What? Like, what do y'all want me to do with that? What am I supposed to do with that? I don't, you coloreds. What do y'all want me to do with that? Oh dear God. In more spiky news, I told y'all to take y'all candy, regulate your sugar levels because I told you it was gonna get bad. Another story from, and I saw this on MSNBC. I saw it on CNN, but I like the way the griot, not the griot, the Root reports on it. So we're here for all that the Root has to say on it. A police department is accused of using only black men for target practice. Let me read the headline again. A police department is accused of using only black men for target practice. A Michigan police department is under fire allegedly using only black people as targets for shooting practice. A Cub Scout troop leader led a group of kids to a Farmington Hills police department for a tour, which included a lineup of black shooting targets in the basement, according to Fox 2 Detroit. The Farmington Hills police responded to the outrage in a press release claiming the allegation was false. The police chief, Jeff King, ordered a comprehensive review of the accusation, which found the department uses 11 white targets and two black ones. Police said the number of targets is supposed to be consistent with the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards and the city's demographics. However, attorney Dion Webster Cox found this wasn't the first time the department was confronted about the choice of targets. In July 2021, the ACLU had sent a Freedom of Information Act request over to the Farmington Hills Police Department requesting how much money has been spent regarding target practice. The attorney says the results of the request show that Farmington Hills Police is not using all the materials they ordered for target practice. They ordered this target. They ordered this target. They had lots of groups, Caucasians. It was very diverse, meaning they ordered targets that had a diverse group of people, white people, black people, whatever. Now, how is it that you ordered these, but the only ones you're actually using are the black men? So let's be clear. They order a batch of targets, and the targets include people of all races: white, black, Asian, Hispanic, you name it, everything in between. But the only targets that they're using are the black ones. Another department was accused of doing the exact same nonsense, and this is in my home area. North Miami Beach police used mugshots of black people as targets for police training, which the police chief also called, quote, facial recognition drills. And that's according to MSNBC. The use of human images as targets alone rose alarm and concerns amongst critics. Let me tell you a little bit about North Miami Police Department. There was an incident maybe about 6, 7 years ago in North Miami, where I know because that's my hometown, where there was a caretaker of a mentally disturbed adult. This guy, he's licensed, certified. He's the caretaker. He services this mental this man that's mentally disabled. The mentally disabled man was having a episode, so much so that even the his caretaker and worker could not quell him or get him to calm down. He calls the police. North Miami Beach police come. They just report, and they come. They tell everybody to get on the ground. The mentally disturbed man is, doing what he does, and he's mentally disabled. And he's, walking around. He eventually sits on the ground. The worker, who's a black man, who's his caregiver, is laid on the ground. They tell him to lay on the ground. He lays on the ground. He has his arms up in the ground. He's on the ground, laid with his back on the ground, has his arms up. There's video of this. And what they do is they shoot the black man who's the caregiver. They shoot him on the ground, arms up, doing exactly what they tell him to do, and they shoot him. He did not die, but he was shot by North Miami Beach police. I'm gonna have to do that story for y'all one day. There's video and everything. If Tabitha is still in the bushes, she may know exactly what I'm talking about. There's video in all of it. But that's what you got going on in the great city of North Miami Beach in Miami-Dade County, Florida. So I can tell you all about what they got going on down to the North Miami Beach Police Department. So, according to ABC 7 Detroit, residents are calling for an independent review of the department and hope other departments learn from this situation. This is par for the course. No, I'm sure none of us are surprised that this is what they're doing. You remember that incident, Tanya? Yes, absolutely. I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago. I know of a case, and my house is in this city of Miami Gardens, where across the street from me, my neighbor directly in front of me across the street, and this did not make national news. They One of her sons was mentally disabled, and sometimes he would have episodes where it would get just he was a man, he was a big man. I think she had like 7 or 8 boys. All of them were grown. This lady, all of them were grown, but she had a couple of them that were still staying with her. She was black, and but one of the sons was mentally disabled, and so the police department had been there several times for different incidents. So it was like 5 in the morning one time, and I just heard all this noise, so I got up. So I go outside. The police tell me go back inside because this is directly across, and they stayed out in my yard. So he was having an episode. The boy, not the boy, he's not, but he's going as man. He ran around the corner and ran to the corner of the block and ran to the corner, and he was having, a mental episode, and he had a broom. That was his what he had. He had took the broom from the house and was swinging the broom, and one of the police officers, being afraid of his life with a broom, shot that young man dead. It didn't make national news, no nothing. Shot him dead. I remember I heard the gunshots. I was there, heard it. Now, because of where it was in my vantage point from my living room window, I couldn't see it, but I heard it. And next thing you know, because the mom was running behind them, you heard her screaming or whatever, you killed my son. I remember it vividly. Those screams haunt me sometimes because I vividly remember. But these things happen. And this goes back to why we talk about there needs to be real reform in how we train police officers. Real reform. This is a mess. But that's what we got going on. I'm sure nobody's surprised. This comes as a surprise to no one. So my what that means is too, if y'all going in these packs and picking out all of the black people, y'all wasting money. Because that means that you got however many come in a pack, but you just gonna use all of the black ones and just discard the other ones. And then when you run out, you say, "Oh, let me order some more," and waste taxpayers' monies by ordering more of these targets just so you can get all black people. This what y'all got going on. This is what y'all got going on. I got one more story before we get to the riveting testimony from January 6th hearing. Randy Cox, that name, remember his name, Randy Cox. Let me read it. And some of you all may be familiar with this story. If you're not, hold on to yourselves. There is a video of this. I have seen the video. If you want, you can go Google and find the video, but there is video of everything that I'm going to talk about. It's disturbing. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. I'm not going to show the video, but I'm going to describe to you what I'm going to read the article. This article is from Newsweek. Shocking video has been released of the moment a black man was paralyzed when his neck was broken as his head smashed into the metal wall inside a police van that stopped suddenly, according to his lawyer. What happens next is almost impossible to watch as Richard Randy Cox, 36, lies motionless and begs for help. But although the police requested an ambulance for him, he is hauled out of the van by his feet, thrown into a wheelchair by officers, booked into jail, and then dragged along the ground by his arms with his head slumping down. He is then dragged into a cell where his ankles are cuffed. Despite begging for help and telling the police he's been seriously hurt, his pleas are dismissed, with one officer repeatedly insisting Cox, quote, just drank too much, end quote. That's what they said, he was just drunk. Let me describe this to you yet again, because when I come to you with stories just like this, you got a black man going through all of this. I oftentimes think that it could be me. And I go through moments where I get emotional myself. And when I'm here before y'all, y'all know I keep that together. Now, bear in mind, these ain't white officers. See, I want people to remove themselves from just thinking this is a problem with just the white officers. This is a problem with police in general. Because when you look at the video, these are black officers that are doing this to this black man. Let me read you again what happened. I'm gonna read you these first two paragraphs again because I want you to put yourself and envision. There is video of this, and I'm not gonna show the video at all. Don't ask me to. You can go look it up. I'm gonna read this again. I want you to really wrap your hands around what's going on here. Shocking video has been released of the moment a black man was paralyzed when his neck was broken and his head smashed into the metal wall inside a police van that stopped suddenly, according to his lawyers. What happened next is almost impossible to watch. It's very hard to watch. As Richard Randy Cox, 36, lies motionless and begs for help. But although the police requested an ambulance for him, he is hauled out of the van by his feet, thrown into a wheelchair by officers, booked into jail, and then dragged alongside the ground by his arms, by his arms, with his head slumping down. He is then dragged into a cell where his ankles are cuffed. Despite begging for help and telling the police he's been seriously hurt, his pleas are dismissed, with one officer repeatedly insisting Cox, quote, drank, just drank too much, end quote. The incident happened on June 18th in New Haven, Connecticut, but the footage was only released this week by attorney Benjamin Crump after he took on Cox's case. The lawyer, who also represents the family of George Floyd, the black man murdered by a white police officer in Minnesota in 2020, whose death sparked a wave of Black Lives Matter protests, said the officers involved in the Cox incident have been placed on leave. Crump, who mostly works on cases involving civil rights, catastrophic on civil rights, injuries, and wrongful deaths, tweeted the video on Monday. Sharing the footage with his followers, he tweeted, quote, "This video is horrific. Randy Cox was put in a police van without seatbelts. He was put in, if you choose to watch the video, they handcuffed him and put him into the back of the police van. His hands are behind his back. He's handcuffed and he's put in the back of this police van, and there's no seatbelt. So he can't use his hand to kind of, keep his balance." This video is horrific. Randy Cox was put in a police van without seatbelts and, after an abrupt stop, was thrown into the wall head first. And there's video of that. All of this is on video. We literally witnessed his neck break. You do actually witness it. It is not easy to watch. If you are just not easy to watch. As he was still lying on the van floor, he told the officers that he couldn't move. What did they do? They dismissed his pleas as lies. Instead of offering immediate medical aid, officers dragged him off the van and threw him into a wheelchair that may have exacerbated his life-threatening injuries. Randy was brutalized when there was no reason for the police to do so. He is now paralyzed from the chest down and has to use a breathing tube. His quality of life is forever diminished. He needs accountability. And that is what Benjamin Crump tweeted out. There is video of this. It does sound like Freddie Gray. The only difference is Randy Cox is still alive. Freddie Gray is not. Thank you, G. Smith. Like I said, I saw the video. It is horrific. And for people who are saying, "Oh, police brutality is a black and white issue," it is not. It is a policing issue, because when you watch the video, these are not white officers dealing with this young man. These are black officers black men and black women officers dealing with this man. Um, a total of 5 officers involved in the incident have been placed on paid leave. Acting Police Chief Regina Rush Kittle said, quote, while the Connecticut State Police continues to take the lead on the investigation of the incident involving Mr. Richard Cox, after careful consideration of the video footage I saw, I have made the determination that all of the officers involved in the transport and handling of Mr. Cox when he arrived at our detention facility should be placed on administrative leave for potential breaches of police protocol, end quote. She described the treatment of Randy Cox as, quote, unacceptable, end quote. Mayor Justin Elicker said all New Haven prisoner transport vans not equipped with seatbelts have been taken out of service, adding, while the state does not require seatbelts in local conveyance vans, the city will require them moving forward, end quote. Listen, y'all, I don't, I'm not going to show it here. If you want, you can go and find the video. It is graphic. It's hard to watch. Um, and yet we still have nothing. Yet we have a Congress that refuses to pass a policing reform bill. Yet we have lawmakers on the federal and state level that are undeterred and unmoved by all of this and make no bones about they plan to do nothing with regard to reformation of policing in these yet to be United States of America. This is a problem. This is a problem. A person who, even if you think he did commit a crime, does not deserve to be paralyzed from the chest down, meaning he probably doesn't have use of his arms either, which would make him a quadriplegic. You don't deserve to be made a quadriplegic. And you would think that after Freddie Gray, that there would be systems put in place across the country with regard to transport of people, especially people who are handcuffed. If you need to have something in place for that so that these people don't get harmed in you transporting them. This is if and when you watch the video, it's bad. It's very bad. We'll keep an eye on that case, ladies and gentlemen. We will keep our eyes on that and we will continue to follow it. His name is Richard Randy Cox. He goes by Randy, but his actual name is Richard Cox and he goes by Randy. So you can go and look it up, and this is in New Haven, Connecticut. Hard to watch, hard to watch. Moving on. Yesterday, we had the riveting testimony. Excuse me. Right, exactly, Diamond. When you watch, it's like I said, it's hard to watch. And like it was said, the way they moved him and the way they treated his body probably exacerbated the situation. But you literally see his head go careening into the metal wall, the back door, I should say, of that police van, and you can almost see his neck break. It's very hard to watch. Very, very hard to watch. Um, Yesterday, we had the riveting testimony of Cassidy Hutchinson in the January 6th hearings. And baby, she was spilling all the tea. It was bombshell after bombshell after bomb. Like I literally sat there like, ooh, interesting. Girl, you lied. Girl, what happened? Really? Girl, girl, girl. That's when you switch it to having a whole conversation using just the word girl. or bitch. It's either girl or you'd be like, bitch, 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 ooh, bitch. Or you like, girl, 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 child. Let me read this from commondreams.org. Y'all know I love me some commondreams.org. Cassidy Hutchinson, who served as special assistant to Mark Meadows. I find it interesting that where was I when I was in college that I wasn't able to, at the very age of the ripe young age of 24, 25, and 26, be able to be a staffer at the freaking White House. But that's the white privilege. I'm just saying. White privilege. How many people you know look like us at the ripe young age of their mid 20s, being able to be senior staffers at the White House? Cassidy Hutchinson, who served as a special assistant to Mark Meadows, former President Donald Trump's last chief of staff, revealed what the consumer advocacy group Public Citizen described as, quote, bombshell after bombshell, end quote, during her in-person testimony to members of the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. Lisa Gilbert, Executive Vice President of Public Citizen and co-chair of the Not Above the Law Coalition, said in a statement that, quote, in the reams of evidence against Trump and his allies, Hutchinson's testimony of the deeply detailed plans of January 6th and the inaction of those in the White House in response to the violence show showed just how close we came to a coup. End quote. Her testimony comes at a critical point in the hearings, showing the conspirators knew what they were doing was illegal and knew it could result in violence, yet they proceeded anyway. And that once the violence was ongoing, the president refused to act. What you say, Diamond Pro and Jim Child? That was good reality TV. I was sipping my blood, child. I was over there drinking too, like, oh, girl. Child. Among other things, Hutchinson testified that Trump knew that heavily armed supporters were in Washington, D.C. to attend the Stop the Steal rally that preceded the January 6th attack and was infuriated that Secret Service agents were trying to bar them from the event. Trump also knew when Secret Service agents, she also testified that when Secret Service agents told Trump they would not take him to the Capitol, he became physically aggressive with one of them, telling him, quote, I'm the fucking president, end quote, and grabbing the steering wheel of the presidential limousine. She also testified that despite pleas from top aides, including White House counsel Pat Cipollon's warning that people are going to die and blood is going to be on your fucking hands, Trump refused to act as the Capitol was being overrun. She also testified that Mark Meadows and attorney Rudy Giuliani sought preemptive presidential pardons for their roles in Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election. That was just the big stuff. Now it's coming out that people all over the place are now spilling the beans. Spilling the beans. And it's coming out a Karen Hobart Flynn, who is president of Common Cause. After Hutchinson testified, she went on to speak openly and say, quote, Trump and his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, were warned repeatedly of anticipated violence on January 6th, yet did nothing. They were informed of semi-automatic rifles and pistols, AR-15s and Glocks, being carried by members of the audience on the ellipse hours before his speech. Yet Trump incited the crowd and called on his heavily armed audience to march on the Capitol and, quote, fight like hell, end quote. Karen Hobart Flynn also continued in a statement or in an interview to say the armed and vicious mob he sent to the Capitol on January 6th was the final desperate act in a months long, multi layered criminal conspiracy by former President Trump and his henchmen to ignore the will of the American people and overturn the legitimate results of the 2020 election by any means. His actions and inaction as the insurrection unfolded, outlined in sworn testimony to the January 6th Select Committee, are jaw dropping, un American, and yet another warning to us all. Just when we think accounts of the actions of the former president and his inner circle can get no worse, we learn they in fact can. I was riveted when she started describing the ketchup dripping down the wall or the door or whatever. Mama started talking about how he had threw his plate of food and shattered the plate against the wall or the door or whatever it was. And as he's giving his speech outside or taping his speech, finally telling the people to go home, you can still see the ketchup dripping down the wall. Just a mess. Just a goddamn mess. Mm, just a goddamn mess. Okay. So I went and thehill.com published what they call the 6 takeaways from the testimony of Miss Cassidy Hutchinson. Here's the first one. The first takeaway is that her testimony adds a possible legal case against Donald Trump. The second takeaway is that top White House staff knew violence was coming. Hutchinson says she first began to get worried about January 6 days prior when she was escorting Trump campaign attorney Rudy Giuliani out of the White House. He asked if she was excited for January 6th, quote, saying, "We're going to the Capitol. It's going to be great. The president's going to be there. He's going to look powerful." That's what Rudy Giuliani said days before. When Hutchinson took her concerns to Mark Meadows, he offered his comment about the potential for things to take a negative turn. Mark Meadows said, quote, "There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, Cass, but I don't know. Things might get real bad on January 6th." This is days before, y'all. Hutchinson also told the committee about a conversation she had with then Director of National Security John Ratcliffe, saying he didn't want to be involved with any of the post-election strategy. She said, quote, "He felt it was dangerous for the president's legacy. He had expressed to me that he was concerned that it could spiral out of control and potentially be dangerous, either for our democracy or the way that things were going for the 6th. Let me go back to tell you how. Well, we know that I don't even need to go into how there's a legal case against Donald Trump. That was the second takeaway. The third takeaway is that Mark Meadows was no check on Trump's explosive behavior, meaning there was nobody that could bring him back in order. Hutchinson testified that Meadows barely looked up from the phone when she and Tony Ornato, Trump's deputy chief of staff, went to warn him of all the weapons spotted among Trump's supporters. Trump initially wanted his security to scrap the metal detectors on site. His armed supporters didn't want to forfeit their weapons to get into the secure area, and it was interfering with the size of the crowd. Before and during the rally, Trump head demanded to head to the Capitol alongside his supporters, something his legal team expressly advised against. Mark Meadows, however, repeatedly told Trump that he was working on getting him to the Capitol. Trump got into his motorcade only to be informed the Secret Service had determined it wasn't safe. He then tried to grab the steering wheel and lunged at the head of his security detail, according to Hutchinson, who relayed what she was told by Ornato. The Secret Service has since said they will offer a response to her testimony, as both the agent in charge of security that day and the driver reportedly wished to dispute the account. That's the part that I'm interested in. So you got Cassidy. Let me tell you, Cassidy Hutchinson is not a hero in my account. She's somebody who's worked for the likes of Representative Scalise, who and we know him, worked for Rafael Cruz, and worked for Mark Meadows and Donald Trump. So if you're looking for me to look at her as a hero, she ain't. Is she supposed to be applauded? I ain't applauding her because it's your job. If you know something is going wrong, you owe it to the American people through your oath when you took office to uphold the Constitution and not uphold an individual, no matter who they are. So I ain't applauding you and making you look like you some kind of goddamn hero. Anyway, so now the Secret Service. Sorry about that. So now the Service talking about they have a response to her testimony because they say, oh, let me read that again. Both the agent in charge of security that day and the driver reportedly wish to dispute this account. Now, here's the problem. The problem is, and this is where I fault the January 6th Commission. Had this been a court of law, the testimony that she gave about what happened in the limousine would not be admissible because it's third party. She wasn't there. This is what she's saying that was told to her by Ornato. She's reporting on that. So it wouldn't be really admissible in a real court of law because you didn't see it. You're third party. A mess. A mess. They go on and on and on. Here's the fourth point. The fourth takeaway is that more Republican lawmakers are being further implicated. The committee has already detailed the actions of a number of sitting Republican lawmakers who joined Trump's efforts to overturn the election results. On Tuesday, new revelations emerged that further entrenched several of those lawmakers in the events of January 6th. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Hutchinson testified, called her in the middle of Trump's speech at the ellipse. He was, quote, frustrated and angry, end quote, she said, because Trump had just promised the crowd that he would join them in their march to the Capitol, a scenario the White House had ensured McCarthy would not happen. She also said that McCarthy told her, quote, said to her, quote, you told me this whole week you aren't coming up here. Why would you lie to me? I To which Hutchinson says she said to him, I said I'm not lying. I wasn't lying to you, sir. We're not going to the Capitol. And he said, well, he just said it on stage, Cassidy. Figure it out. That was the exchange between her and Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio is also in this. Um, Jordan had called Mark Meadows during the Capitol attack, Hutchinson said, but Mark Meadows was with He was with what's the guy's name? I can't get the goddamn man's name. Um Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel. Sorry. But he was with well, I lost my place, y'all. I'm sorry. But where am I at? Let me go back. Jim Jordan called Mark Meadows during the Capitol attack, Hutchinson said, but Meadows was with Pat Cipollone trying to convince Trump to call off his supporters. She answered the phone instead, she said, and delivered it to Mark Meadows in the White House dining room, where the topic was focused on Mike Pence's safety. Quote, they had a brief conversation, and in the crossfires, I heard briefly like what they were talking about. But in the background, I had heard conversations in the Oval dining room with the at that point with them at that point talking about the hang Mike Pence chance. So Jim Jordan has been on the phone with all of these people. It's a lot going on. All of these people are indicated. Point five that we take away is that the committee highlights witness tampering and asks for others to come forward. So we know there's witness tampering. We know that they're threatening people who have um, uh, firsthand experience with what was going on that day. They are trying to bully these people. They're trying to spark fear in these people, and just and they already know this. Um, And the last point that we take from it is that investigators are still building momentum heading into July. They have alluded to this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's much more testimony that's going to come in the coming month that will be quite much more damning. They are really sitting on a lot of testimony, a lot of evidence, and a lot of information that's very incriminating. What we certainly need to know from all of this is an established coup that they were trying to have on this country. Okay. Yet, ain't nobody in jail yet. Yet, it seems like y'all are really taking the long way around this. The long, long way around this. I mean, I don't understand why there's this um, pussyfooting around Donald Trump and what they got going on over here. But I can say with certainty to you that this is going to get worse before it gets better in terms of the testimony. And my fear is that nothing's going to be done. We're going to get all of this information, all of this evidence, and nothing's going to be done. It's just going to be good fodder for the upcoming midterm election, but nothing is going to be done. Will there be real indictments? Will there be real charges brought against these people? What the hell is Garland doing over there? What is he doing? And just like you just had the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and you have outcries across the country of people saying, "Hey, Joe Biden, if given the chance, don't you think now is the chance time for you to say, let me put more people on the Supreme Court?" Joe Biden has come out and said, I'm not here for that. I'm not going to entertain that. I'm not in favor of that. So what you're saying to us, Joe Biden, is that you and your band of merry men in the Democratic establishment are not here for the American people. This is all going to end up being some reality television show, like you said, like y'all said. And we're just going to be here for the entertainment, eating our popcorn, drinking our drink, and at the end of the day, nothing's going to be done. Y'all got people, members of Black Lives Matter, in jail and all kinds of stuff. But real people who are intimately involved with this, on the White House staff, a part of Trump's administration, and sitting members of Congress who were intimately involved with this aren't going to go to jail. They aren't going to face any repercussions, and they're going to go about life as usual, as if there's nothing to see here. That is the real travesty. A mess. A mess. That's my agenda today, y'all. I'm about to get up off here. I'm sure Really B is getting ready to go live. Well, I'm sorry, Really B's already live, dear God. If you stuck around with me, y'all can go ahead and go over there to my sister's channel and watch her live or whatever. Um, but yeah, we're going to stay vigilant on this. I'm really going to monitor that case with Randy Cox, and because that is serious. That and there needs to be some type of federal legislation or something put in place to do away with this kind of stuff, because it's a problem. It's a real problem that we still have this going on in these yet to be United States of America. Hell, damn jobs with companies that got their back. They have seats in Congress. Anyway, y'all put some shondos in the chat. I'm about to get up out of here. Okay. Um, I thank you all for rocking with me. I owed y'all the politics of it all. We hadn't done one in a few in like a week or so. So I wanted to do that. Please, I'm going to reiterate, tomorrow night we have our Pride Month town hall. Let me see if I can get that link for you all, and y'all can copy and paste that link to your social medias. I want you all to, and y'all know I never ask for this kind of stuff, but certainly for tomorrow night's Pride panel, please share it out on your social media. Let's try to get a lot of people to come through. I think it's an important conversation that we'll have. It will give you the opportunity to ask questions, and we can be open, candid, and honest about it. We have a whole docket or agenda of topics that we're going to discuss. I'm actually really excited about tomorrow's panel. Let me go ahead and get, okay, there we go. I'm actually really excited about tomorrow's panel. Shout out to my latest review of P Valley, Katori Hall, and Patrick Ian Polk, who are executive producers of the show. Tweeted out my retweeted, I should say, my review, and it has gotten people that came and watched it, and so that review is doing well. So shout out to them for doing that. There is the link to the town hall for tomorrow. So if you would share that out to your in your social medias. We want to get, it's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we're going to be there. We're going to be here. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of good stuff. So I want to get prepared for that. I'm excited. Let's do what we do and make it great. Make it great. Mods, I know y'all going to be in place, so I'm not even worried about that. And I know it's going to be a great time had by all. That's all I got for y'all. As I always say, thank you all for being vocal, present, and active. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for any and all contributions that you make to the channel. They are much obliged and much appreciated. My best friend told me that, yeah, you're going to do this big town hall tomorrow, so make sure you tell people to like, share, and subscribe. I told him, I don't know if I'm going to do that. He was like, come on now, if you have a big crowd, you got to tell people to come. I said, we'll see. So yeah, y'all come rock with us tomorrow night. I'm excited. Also, heads up, Sunday we're gonna be celebrating Really B's birthday is Sunday, so let's be prepared. She's gonna have her online birthday party Sunday night, so let's be prepared to give to her. and show her how much we love her and stuff like that. That's all I got for y'all today. Until next time, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. We are out up here.